Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Good Headspace. Oh my God, with me, your host Radhika Vaz, and today we're going to talk about everyone's obsession with true crime, TV shows, films, so on and so forth. And of course, I have the perfect guest. I have my friend, writer, tennis player,
Sure.
and director of, among other things, the extremely creepy true crime documentary show, Indian Predator, The Butcher of Delhi.
Yep.
Welcome, Ayesha Sood.
Thank you for having me.
Isn't this weirdly formal?
It is. It's. Have you
Welcome, Ayesha Sood, and so do tell me about true crime, madam.
Yes, so welcome, and how are you doing?
Not too bad, actually. I did get a game of tennis. So
Oh, you
I'm
did
happy.
get a game of tennis.
I had to throw that in.
I remember watching you being interviewed when Indian Predator first came out.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix, by the way, so if you want to creep yourself out, please watch it. When it first came out and we were at a social club. I'm not going to say the name of the social club because that's rude, because I know the person who runs it as well. And it's a nice enough place.
Yeah.
But the interview was at this very fancy social club, and so we were all sitting there listening to Ayesha being interviewed. And then at some point she goes, "I don't actually like clubs." And everyone was like, "What did she just say?" It's like, no, I don't really like clubs or any of these exclusive places.
Gated,
and I was awesome, actually. I don't like gated communities. You were on that role of I don't like, and then it's like, I don't like clubs.
This is the thing. So I think I put my foot in it a
Yeah.
lot. Or I'm not. I feel like I think I'm smarter than I come off.
Oh, I could have said that so much better.
Yeah.
I feel like that about myself all the time. So I'm here for you. Don't
So those
worry
are the
about
things that get me a little bit like.
And what relaxes you? A game of tennis?
For sure. I mean, I think tennis is super. I'm constantly trying to convert people into tennis people. But yeah, like anything physical is like super relaxing.
Yeah.
What else? I think
Because I
watching
feel
stuff-
like even the other day when we were working at your office, what's the sweet guy's name who's like a musician next door?
Summer.
So he came in and he was like looking all grim and miserable, and immediately we sat him down and started. This is what women do. Like we three chicks writing
We're like,
something.
have a seat
okay?
on our table.
Like sit down, tell us what your problems are, and also kind of doing research on him.
Yeah. As we do with everyone.
As we do with everyone. Like I can't have a conversation now if I come there and if someone's talking to us, I'm like, so tell me something. Do you have siblings? And what's your birth order? And like whatever, right? So then of course start digging deeper into his private life and then giving him gyan. And I was like, you should do this and you should do that. And then Vani said something and you're like, do you play a game?
In the last couple of years, a lot of my male friends are sort of, I feel like they're
falling
kind of
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
They have bad headspace.
They have bad headspace.
Maybe they should come on
I
my
think you
show.
need to interview a whole bunch of
me
my
too.
friends.
Yeah.
And after a point, my solution to everything is like, do you play paddle?
Yeah, there you go.
And my partner's like, how much paddle are you going to play?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm kind of like doing it as a social service now.
Service at this point.
No, but I think it helps, if you feel like, your mind and your body are moving, you generally immediately feel like, okay, I'm alive and things are okay.
There's actual research behind exercise and curing of anxiety and depression and general. I remember I made that connection when I was quite young.
Yeah.
Because I got booted out of boarding school.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had probably the worst headspace of my life at a young age because I'd been just ejected from a school that I was living at.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like I wasn't just going to see, my home, it was my home. And I wasn't there anymore. And that was the year I started running. My dad used to go running and I used to run with him. Initially it was a vanity thing to lose weight or whatever it was, and I was probably so skinny at that age anyway. But within no time, I realized that on days that I ran, the day was just amazing. And on days that I didn't run, the day was not amazing.
I think the other thing,
But you do it,
which
and it works for you.
which obviously is another very obvious thing.
Yeah.
But I just sort of got reminded of it recently. Was like reading a book.
Doesn't it make you feel better?
It's like very old school, and it feels like I felt so accomplished when I read 10 pages. I was just like, what is wrong? Like I've not been able to read 10 pages straight.
Yeah.
And I think just that sort of being able to shut off transport, not look at your whatever devices,
Anything.
whatever. I think it's so old school and so nice in a way. Like it just
The thing with reading a book, which I enjoy on multiple levels. So one is it does shut me out of everything, right? It transports me into the world of the book.
Yeah.
That's number one. Also, the act of reading, I feel, is active. It is, you know, it's not passive. Like when I watch TV or if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking
yeah,
at something on my
yeah.
phone, I am being entertained, yes,
Yeah.
but it is so passive. I don't have to really do much.
Yeah.
And after a while, that starts to feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas this feels like I am doing something, I'm exerting some part of
There's a
myself.
muscle being used.
There's a muscle
Yeah,
being
yeah,
used.
yeah.
And that muscle being used makes me tired,
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
me feel like I've done something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all the positives,
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
know,
agree.
it really definitely. Are you a routine-oriented creature? Like, do you have routine and do you enjoy routine, or are you
I
okay
think,
with chaos?
No. I think very much I am now very rooted around routine.
Yeah.
I think that gives me good headspace, and I think I think it helps. I live in a lot of worlds of chaos.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of routine and structure helps me lose any anxiety or stress around those kind of things.
Yeah.
So just like, you know, from daily routine to routines around like how you work and like play and all those kind of things are, I like them.
So before you settle down to, so Ayesha is a writer-director, so obviously before you settle down to do your work, which is very specific kind of work, like I'm not talking about the actual shoot, I'm talking about the preparation and the thinking that goes. Do you have any sort of like routine that you have to follow before you start your working day? Like how is it for you?
I definitely need like, so I used to think that I was procrastinating. Like I thought that was part of what it was. But I think I've really bounded into like a routine now, which is like I need to have had a shower. I need to be clean. I need my workspace to be clean.
Yeah.
I'll very often like do the entire deep cleaning of my laptop, and it'll already be lunchtime, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I can take a break, you know. But I like to wipe clean, go through anything that's on my desktop, and if it's like cluttered, wipe it out and just like start fresh.
For me, when you said you need to take a shower, for me it's I need to either eat or take a shower or both. Like I can't ever
Eat
work
or take a shower.
Yeah, it has to be one of those two things will have to happen before I start my work for the day, or both. I cannot be hungry and dirty. Like there's something about taking a shower / eating my breakfast that makes me feel like, okay, now I am
So I feel like,
prepared.
again, like in a very old school way, like I feel like I'll never work unshowered.
Unshowered, yeah.
Ever. Like I don't think I'll ever just be like, oh, I'm not one of those. Anyway, writing is not something that is like,
it doesn't need you to be showered and changed.
It doesn't need
but
you.
I need to be showered and
I
changed.
look at
I
it
feel
like
better.
work, like going to work, then I feel like I'm working. If I'm just like, you know, I'm not one of those mad writers is what I'm saying. Like,
Yes,
who can just be like,
me neither.
You know, I can't, like,
I wanted to be that person.
Yeah.
I wanted to be
You can just
filthy and
write, like,
smoking
anything,
and
yeah,
drinking, and I
can't.
wanted all of that to be part of
Yeah.
my life, but none of it is. And I tried it, by the way, it didn't work. So, so here we have us.
Yeah.
So there is an insurgence, or maybe it's always been there. I've only noticed it recently, of true crime, TV shows, documentaries, films, but everything, like true crime is so big right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come to your show and how you got involved with it because I'm fascinated. But why do you think people are into watching this stuff?
So,
Even if you just speak for yourself, because I know you're into it a little bit, no? A lot.
why I'm into it is like a whole other story, which is that I started out by sort of reading Agatha Christie's and Hercule Poirot, and which is not true crime, it is fictional crime.
Yes.
And it was really satisfying to me as a kid because I was like, oh, you know, everything gets wrapped up very nicely in a bow, and like you start out with these 10 people, they could all be it, and then you're in a closed room, and it's the most.
And you like the
And
feeling
I like
that suspense creates
and
within you.
Suspense, but it's also very nicely wrapped up and finished.
Yes.
And true crime is not that. True crime is entirely messy and chaotic, and there is no sense of justice very often, especially in places like India. And I think for me, that was what was so interesting in a very brutal way, because when I started to, like, the first few stories and cases that I started to follow, and I started to realize, like, yeah, that's not like the books at all. You know, and like you feel like, you know, the police system should work a certain way, justice system, our societies, our sense of whatever. If someone's done it, they should be in jail. So all that doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was so interesting to me, which was like, can we then, through this kind of storytelling, really understand a lot more about our worlds? Because all of those people come from our world, right? Like, so a policeman is very much a product of our world, our
Yeah.
society, and what is that, right?
Okay.
So our legal systems and our judicial systems, and actually how far removed are we from our constitution or not? And I think through true crime storytelling, in this
Yeah.
story particularly, I got to really be close to a lot of
Yes.
these worlds and really understand these people as human beings, and I think that is, I mean, they are all part of us as well.
But your audiences, like, why are people
Yeah.
so obsessed with it?
So I, like obviously through making this, I met a lot of true crime nuts, and
Yeah.
I still have a lot
Yeah.
of fans
Yeah.
or whatever. And I was asking my cousin, my niece, who I want to say is in her early 20s. So I was like, so why are you into like true crime? And she was like, it's the one time that I can stop looking at Instagram.
Interesting.
And I was like, so it's something about the gripping nature
Of it. That's why I said some people enjoy the suspense of it or
I think
something
it's
like,
kind of like, like we dated ourselves by saying that we like reading books.
Yeah,
And that is, you feel like your mind is working.
yeah.
I think for today,
They feel that their mind's working on like
Working
trying to
because-
solve and see what happens.
because you're just fixated on one thing that
Yeah.
keeps you hooked, which is
Focus.
very rare now in
Yeah.
any media. I think you can multitask and do
Yeah.
multiple things. It's a drama, and like in another 3 seconds the same thing will be happening. And I think true crime, horror
Yeah.
are genres that keep you.
On edge a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I was a true crime kind of person.
Yeah.
But don't like it at all. I didn't like violence. I'm like very much about like just
Yeah.
the comedy world or even
Yeah.
drama or whatever. But this whole violent business, I'm
Yeah.
not interested in, and I don't care for suspense that much. Agatha Christie was a different. It was a different
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Teen
far more
biscuits.
gentle,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And there wasn't like
Yeah, yeah,
there's a little bit of that, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like crazy.
Yeah.
But recently, in the last couple of months, like, okay, I mean, I think I probably made myself watch your show because it was you. And then I was like, then I watched a few others and others, and now when they come, I watch them. I've noticed that, but I have very specific likes. I don't like all true crime. I like the ones that have been solved. I don't want any loose fucking murderers running around anywhere in the world, okay? I like the ones that have been solved. I prefer international, okay? Like, I'm okay with the Menendez brothers,
yeah.
O.J. Simpson,
Yeah.
all solved.
Yeah.
Also, people in another continent.
Yeah.
All these serial killers in another continent, I'm like, fascinated.
Not in your zip code.
Yours freaked me out because
Yeah.
it was like, excuse me, this is in Delhi.
Yeah.
Like, this is going on in here.
Yeah.
So that bothers me a little bit. And I think because they've already been solved, I know what the outcome is. I know the story because
Yeah.
it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
So we know what it is.
Yeah.
All that makes me comfortable. It's almost the opposite. Like, I can switch off and just watch it. It's like re-watching an episode of Sex and the City for me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know what happened. They've caught the guy.
safe.
I have nothing to worry about.
You are safe.
I am safe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Have you watched a show called? It's on HBO as well. It's called I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love that.
Oh my God, I thought you'd love that because
I love that.
because like you were saying, it's so messy and you don't know what's going to happen.
So
and,
I followed that case,
oh my God.
like as a nerd,
Yes.
whatever, and then Patton.
Oswald,
right?
Patton Oswald.
Yeah. It's his wife.
His
who's
wife.
done this work, right?
Michelle McNamara.
Yeah. So I followed all of that even before the docu came out.
Wow.
And then she passed.
Past, yes.
And then like I don't know if you know, but like afterwards, like 2 years ago, they caught him.
Yes, no. I just
yeah.
watched when I knew you were coming on my show.
Yeah.
I watched I'll Be Gone in the Dark,
Yeah.
which is a terrifying documentary on HBO about this book that this woman
Yeah.
wrote. Well, she died before she finished writing it,
It was
but
her
she
life's
was writing.
work,
It was her
basically.
life's work.
Yeah.
This woman called Michelle McNamara.
Yeah.
She was obsessed with the serial killer
Yeah.
who was operating in generally the California area.
Yeah.
And he had been raping women and then he started killing people. And it was like a horrible, like 40 plus crimes.
Over like 3 decades.
Over
or
3
two
decades, right?
Yeah.
And it was like bizarre. And she researched it and she got in. So it was, this whole documentary documents her process. And she died of pretty much a drug overdose, but not heroin or coke or anything. It was like she was taking stuff to sleep and she was very involved in this case clearly. And I think it was messing with her generally. And that led to her opioid sort of crisis. And then she passed away. And then 2 of the guys that she'd been working with they got together and finished the book and everything, and then they caught the fucking guy because of some of the stuff that she discovered and she wrote.
Yeah, she was very close.
Yes.
She was very, very close, and then they caught the guy, and they caught him because of DNA testing.
DNA testing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's one of those stories that, you know, like, I grew up reading.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I grew up, like, researching this.
And the way they have Comic-Con and like all of that, they have this true crime kind of like fan festival where all these weird people like yourself show up, and
I think
you guys are
I think this is a
fascinated.
new thing. Like we didn't have it definitely when I was growing up, so I haven't been to any of those. But
well, it could be your Burning Man or
I
whatever,
think it
whatever
might
you
be,
want to do. So okay, so let's talk about Indian Predator, the Butcher of Delhi. So first of all, I just want to say the word butcher is just the perfect word to put into a title of something like what you were working with, because it just, to me, butcher, I'm imagining bones cracking and blood squirting all over the place and horrible. So the first question I had was, how did the project come to you?
Vice India pitched a multi-series umbrella show to Netflix.
Okay.
Which Netflix said yes to. And a lot of the people at Vice, the good people at Vice, like Samira and Ashwin and a whole bunch of other, Vasundhara, a whole bunch of other people were ex-Babelfish, ex-OML, and I had done a series with them called The Durists. I had done season 2 with them. So these are the people at Vice, and they've pitched this show. This is in 2020, so this is at the time where we were like, we don't have a career anymore. Is anyone going to make films? We have no idea. And Netflix was really keen on making this series. So they approached me with a pool of stories. And I was fascinated with this one.
Yes, why?
Because me being this like true crime nerd, I had never heard of this story. And it was in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was in the years that I had studied, you know, like Arushi was happening and Ithari was happening, and I was really deep into like studying those cases. And I was like, so did I just not hear of this? It didn't come into my like news cycle, and was that because of like, is that a class thing?
Oh, I think so, because one of the things that I came across when I was like reading up to talk to you was there's this one woman in some university in the US that runs a class on the ethics of true crime, and people who are making all these shows and even reporting on the shows, and how do they choose their shows? And a lot of the time it is very the cases that get picked up by the news and made into a thing typically are about your, you know, the rich white whatever, your backyard. It's the people, you pay attention only to people who are like you.
Now because I'm like studying, because you know, as a kid and you're like whatever in your teenager early 20s, what do you have access to, right? And what we used to watch was American true crime. What was it? It was like American serial killers, right? The Zodiac. The Zodiac does, and it's like a, you know, it's like one of those culty things in true crime.
And they don't know who he is still, right?
No, they don't. And there's like many theories and multiple books and multiple films. Fincher has made whatever. He is writing letters with code. This guy is writing letters with code. He is dismembering as other serial killers in the West have. So, but he's nowhere on the scale of these dudes. Because these dudes' stories have been told. You know? So I was fascinated by this. I was actually very interested in my own bias, why it didn't come up in my world's bias. You know? Why is Arushi and Ithari more threatening than this story? With this story was fantastical. It was like, it's got all those ingredients, right?
So just as an aside, so one of the types of like true crime that I enjoy is where there's no blood and gore, but it's like a con, catfishing, that kind of stuff. And so there's this really creepy one on, I think it may be Netflix again, which is Sweet Bobby. My Catfish Nightmare. And it's about this. Have you watched it?
You know, I heard the podcast first before.
Oh, there was a podcast first. A lot of these are podcasts first. Even Michelle McNamara had a podcast before she had the book and everything.
Podcast is the gateway to
this true crime stuff. So basically, this young woman in London somewhere, Indian girl, gets taken for this massive con, and I'm not going to give anything away, but she has this big romance with this guy called Bobby online, and only at the end does she find out that it wasn't him all along, it was completely someone else, and it is frightening when they tell you who that someone else was, because it literally would be like, Ayesha, if you were the someone else to me. It freaked me out when and I think, again, the reason I watched it was because, I identify with that type of a family, and it's a class thing. It totally is a class thing. So, the ethics of true crime is very interesting. So you wanted to sort of embed yourself in a different world, pretty much. Or at least look into this.
Yeah, because I felt like if you're a student of true crime, like this is an incredible story, right?
I love that. By the way, these true crime people are weird. They do call themselves students of true crime, and it's like a whole subject that they've taken. Like they've decided that this is what it's going to be. But go on.
No, what was I saying? No. So, I mean, why is the story not told is one of the biggest reasons for me being interested in this story.
Okay. So I was reading up, so I watched the show, but I watched it a little while ago, but I was reading up then on Chandrakant Jha.
Yeah.
So they did catch him, correct? Wait, tell me, refresh.
Yeah, so at the time when we made it, he was already in jail.
He was in jail, correct.
He was in jail. And then he went farar, which means he went absconding last year.
How did he abscond?
Because he's legally allowed to get parole.
Oh.
And he went on parole and he absconded. Then I got a call from Delhi police saying that, madam,
you better watch it.
Yeah. So I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not the one in like...
Yeah, exactly. Stop calling me, freaking me out.
So, but the thing is that we got people on camera to give up new evidence against him.
Yes.
Right? So I was like, are you going to call them? And they're like, no.
Oh, we don't care about them. Oh, wow.
So,
Speaking of the class divide.
Justice system here, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it should have been big news, but it was not big news.
Well, to me, many things jumped out about Chandrakant Jha, but the fact that he's been married multiple times, like he's been married twice or something, his wives must not be looking forward to having him back.
And multiple kids.
Multiple kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was telling a friend of mine about this, and she's like, how does this murderer, is he married twice and yet I am still single?
You know, one of the storylines that we couldn't get into, and again, I'm not saying this, but is that one of the wives, whichever one he's spent the last few years with, was complicit.
So even the Menendez brothers have got married and divorced while they were in jail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who are these people who are willing to have, like, what is it about a murdering man?
That's stardom. That's fame, huh?
That's fame.
American idea of
in
fame.
In Chandrakant Jha, it's pure sex appeal, probably.
Yep.
He's a player.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand it. Yes, okay. And she was complicit. So that also makes sense in a way. Whatever.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Everything is allegedly. It's all allegedly, Mrs. Jha. I have to say, with the true crime, just one quick thing is that I remember when I watched it, I actually started laughing because of how casually the cops would talk.
But that's the thing though, right? Like in India...
It's like, why are you not showing more restraint, sir? But then how are they to do that? They have to just talk about it.
Like a small digression. So like my short film, which is called The Cherry on Top, and I went to, it went to various festivals or whatever. And it's a robbery that happens, right? Whatever. This crime happens. And the scene is that after the crime happens, these two Delhi policemen have gone into the pastry shop. It's a crime in a pastry shop. And he picks up the pineapple pastry and he starts eating it. It's one thing, but the story is not about that. It's about a whole bunch of things. And I remember the French press, the guy was like, so how believable is this? Because he's not wearing gloves. And I'm like, it's Delhi police. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, that's the whole thing about crime in India is like, it's not like crime in Norway. You know, like,
nothing is like crime in Norway. I feel like the
is
US
there crime in Norway? But like, you know.
No. So the other day I was in, where was I? I was somewhere in one of these markets in Delhi. And I was at like a Theobroma or something. And I just ordered whatever. And these 6 cops walk in. And they're all men and one lady. And she's the gang leader. And because what you just told me, she's the gang leader. She walks up to she's looking around at everything. She's going to make the fucking decision on what cake they're going to buy. And by eavesdropping hard, because I'm like, this is the most amazing visual for me of these cops in this tiny little Theobroma So I'm like eavesdropping, and they're all discussing. Basically, they have to buy a cake for someone's birthday back at the station. So but she's going to make the final choice. And there's this one skinny cop, and he's like all about the pineapple cake. He wants that one, and he's like, please, ma'am. I'm like, madam, please. Like he's begging, like, please, can we have my cake? And I'm like, this needs to be a scene in something, right?
Even cops do this.
Yeah, of course they do. But your cop was like, in your show was like, तो हमने खोपड़ी मिला. I'm like, खोपड़ी?
Yeah. And he's like, they pick up the khopdi and he's like...
And they look at the khopdi ko dekh liya, ye hua, wo ya, khopdi.
When we were editing and doing music, obviously we were just like, you know, you reach this stage of silliness, right?
Of feeling nothing.
Oh, yes. And then we were like, we're going to take a shot every time he says khopdi.
Oh my God, you must have been wasted by the end of it. Yeah. Did it not... This stuff doesn't bother you? Because like watching a creepy story or watching whether it's true crime or fiction, it doesn't, you're watching it and then you're gone. But like after watching I'll Be Gone in the Dark and that documentary is actually more about the writer, about Michelle McNamara. I was thinking, someone like you, if you're making this thing, you have to get into so much stuff that you didn't even put on screen.
Yeah.
So now you have this huge amount of information that you had to collect and you had to interact so much with the people involved.
Yeah.
No sleepless nights, like nothing?
So I think, you know, the thing is that we do all this, we make all this as filmmakers, as whatever creators, is for the final impact, emotional impact to happen to the audience, right?
True.
So when you're making something, there are so many layers and parts to every part of the process, from research and development to pre-production to production to post to sound to color to everything. And those are just the stages of filmmaking, the layers upon layer about information, about legal jargon, about all that your mind is in the granular. Your mind is not at the stage of emotional impact.
Which is what I think happened to Michelle McNamara. I feel like because the case had not been solved, there was something in her that she wasn't even writing a book, she wanted to solve the case. And I feel like she was not a trained police officer, so there was some lack of emotional detachment or something, and she got overwhelmed.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I think that it was very dark, right? Like, I can't deny that it wasn't a dark thing, and it was like lots going on. But by the time you're cutting your fourth cut and layering the fifth piece of score to a piece of graphic that you have designed over 6 months, like there's so many little parts to making all of this stuff that you do get desensitized, and all you're thinking about is actually the score coming in.
Oh, 100%. I mean, anything that you work with or sit with for long enough, it stops having the impact that it had on you on day one. So like, I mean, I don't really find anything I say when I'm I don't find it funny at all. At all. In fact,
I think this is where you have to trust instinct and go with it, right? Like, I think for you as well and for me as well, like my instinct was that this is a story that I want to follow because of these reasons.
Yeah.
And I held on to those reasons and tried to bring them out in the storytelling. You know? Like where he comes from, who he chose, why was he invisible to us. So those are the instincts that I went in with, and those are the things I held on to try to. Yeah.
What are the other true crime? Oh, what was that big one about Delavi and Anna Delavi? Did you watch that one?
I did. That was also crazy.
That was also
I watched
crazy.
the other one recently about that Australian fitness,
Oh,
you know who?
The guy who was posing as a small child.
No. The woman who is a health influencer.
Yeah.
What was her name? B something. Anyway.
Okay.
And she fakes cancer and disease.
Oh yeah, fakes cancer
and then she
has all these
and then
gifts. People are giving her money.
Yeah, and then she's like cured herself with naturopathy.
Naturopathy, right. It's all rubbish.
Which is
very scary
dark.
information to be spreading around.
Yeah.
Also, there are people who are impersonating children, like grown-up men and women who just kind of look young. And then they weirdly get adopted by families. There's a show like this. And then there's one of the shows that you sent me on your list, which was about this kid, or this guy.
Imposter.
Yes, imposter.
Yeah.
Yes. He gets kidnapped or something when he's very young.
Yeah.
And goes missing.
Yeah.
This child gets kidnapped and goes missing. And then what ends up happening is that one fine day, the cops get a call saying, we found, this is the kid.
Yeah.
but now he's like 15 years
Yeah.
old. But he's actually a grown-up man who's
Yeah.
someone else completely,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
pretending to be
Yeah.
this person. And the mom is so desperate
Yeah.
to believe that she's found her child
Yeah.
that she freaking is like, yeah, that's my kid. He speaks in the French accent. Kind of looks like a grown-up
There's
dude.
that other film, no, with Angelina Jolie, Changeling. This also happens there. Then there's one of those, the famous kidnapping, some American famous, I can't remember, Lindbergh or something.
The Hindenburg or the Lindenberg, that baby.
So it's a phenomenon.
It's a phenomenon.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's really
Yeah.
creepy, but yeah. People do weird shit.
People do really strange
Yeah.
things. I am too afraid of, like, what con would you even pull? Like, I'm just trying to think
You
of,
know,
like,
I think the thing is about these, like, Sweet Bobby and
Yeah.
Anna Levy or
Yes.
whatever. You know, I always think there's like a mastermind, right? Like, I think even the Australian health influencer.
Yeah.
But very often it's so simple.
yeah.
The con is so simple
Yeah.
and it's so easy to pull off, and there's
Yeah.
no mastermind. It's just that they get away with it. And the getting away with it gives them some kind of like,
Are we humans so gullible that we just want to believe people fucking like us? Because I feel like a lot of these cons, the ones that are like stabbing
Yeah.
and killing and
Yeah.
slitting of throats,
Yeah.
these cons
Yeah.
where they con you out of your money or
Yeah.
they make you sit up
Give you
late at
another
night,
baby
yeah, give you
or-
another all the
Yeah.
shit. Like, are we so fucking desperate and isolated and miserable that if someone gives us a lot of attention and tells us how amazing we are, we fall for it?
I think.
See, that's why cons
think-
frighten me more,
I think
because
so.
I believe that that could actually freaking happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think we're so desperate for that attention, eyes on us. that-
Dude, what about that woman from NDTV, the journalist, who believed that she had got into Columbia University? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
She,
Nidhi, no?
Nidhi something or the
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
She believed that she had got some major admission into some sort of program in Columbia. Either she was going to teach
what
there,
about-
she's going to teach
Yeah,
there.
but what about all the scams? Like right
And
now.
then when she showed up over there, it was, but how did you do that? Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen to you?
Yeah.
That you believed?
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest scam that happened to me was I was in the 9th standard and I had a crush on a guy, and this girl knew about it, and she wrote me a note from him. And I fully
you
believed
got
it was
caught?
him, and I was like,
But see, this is why you're scared of
amazing.
being scammed.
And now I'm
because
so scared of being, I was like felt so ashamed and stupid for so long that, yeah, I'm really frightened that someone's going to be like, we have a great, amazing job for you, and I'm going to be like, until I fucking see
it.
you
Yeah.
in person,
Yeah.
and there's going to be a lot of proof that you're going to need to show me. I am petrified of answering. I mean, all my colleagues in the comedy world answer DMs about their rates and what it'll take to get them to perform in a show, because people often hit us up in the DMs, which is like, hi.
I mean,
we're
that's
from
how
this
work happens
production
now.
company, exactly,
Yeah.
and we're looking for this thing, and are you free on this day, and what's your rate?
Yeah.
And I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're going to fucking con me, and then I'm going to be like, no.
Yeah.
So I am petrified. I've actually called a couple of my friends. I'm like, dude, do you give your rates out on Instagram? And they're like, yeah. I was
But
like,
what will happen if you give
nothing will happen, but I'm so frightened after seeing all this shit. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like, can I WhatsApp you? Like, do you want to do this on WhatsApp? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to give you my number. You send me your number.
But yes.
But even then, anyone can send
Well,
me a
okay,
number,
but-
and then I WhatsApp them my number. It's the
And
same
then-
fucking thing,
and then
right?
what happens?
Nothing. They have my number now. I'm paranoid.
The thing is, you're not going to get more work if you.
I'm
don't-
not. I'm
yeah.
not getting more work. That's why I'm doing a podcast at this point, because I'm frightened of giving anyone my information. I was like really scared and nervous.
You like put so many check whatever.
Yeah,
What's it
yeah, yeah.
called?
But
check
there's
posts.
check posts.
Yeah.
There's so many like layers before you can get to me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so scared of being conned. It's like, what would you rather lose, money or dignity? What would be worse?
I think dignity. I don't have much money, so I think like it's not much to lose. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, not that there's not much dignity to lose either, but I think dignity maybe like work, maybe like.
I feel like, oh my God, this is such a
It's such a-
Sophie's choice that I posed, because
Yeah.
for me, losing money would like, oh my God, it drives me bananas if I lose anything that I paid money for, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if I, but dignity. Shame,
I think
shame,
that one-
bathed in
that
shame,
one
public
hurts.
shame.
That hurts bad.
But that's the other reason why con artists get away with shit.
Yeah.
Because people are so ashamed of having lost money.
Yeah.
I think when you lose anything, your dignity goes with it. Especially if you got conned. Like if you accidentally misplace something, that's different.
Yeah.
But if someone took it from you
Yeah.
and you could have avoided it just by being a little bit like
But
vigilant.
I think it's like this, right? Like how many of our older generation,
Yeah.
we were kind of on the borderline
Yeah.
of this, are getting conned on a daily basis.
And the reason they're not telling anyone is because
It's
they're
dignity.
ashamed.
It's dignity.
But that's why con artists get away with it,
Yeah.
because everyone's like so ashamed
Yeah.
that they're not telling on those assholes, and then they're like, okay, and now I'll move on to a bigger
Yeah.
target and a bigger target, because they're just
Yeah.
so ashamed.
Yeah.
The people have resold like the Statue of Liberty like 3 times over. There's some dick who's like, oh, I'll buy this. It's like, you should buy this.
Yeah.
Like, I'll buy the statue
Yeah.
that's standing in the bay of like New York City. Like, how could you get conned into buying the Statue of Liberty?
But I feel like this kind of scamming and conning, like Anna Levy and
Yeah.
stuff, it's so baked into our DNA in India. Like I feel
Like
like when
conning people is baked into our DNA, like to be a con artist.
Yeah, like
okay.
I think we're just constantly looking to do that with people, and I think that once you start opening up those stories,
Yeah.
it's going to be like endless here,
Yes.
endless.
The cons.
I think it's going to be like so many.
Oh my God. I mean, now it's insanity, right? Because people just, the other day my husband had a phone call. We have a sir, a Federal Express package. And Deepak's like,
I don't know anything.
okay, I'll call you back. And he hung up and we never heard from them
Yeah,
again.
yeah. But there was a story of this other guy, who's that comedian, Ankush. He's a TV personality, Ankush Bahugana or something like that. His name is.
Sejal's nodding very knowledgeably.
You know what I'm
from
talking
behind.
about? Yeah. Somebody called him and put him on digital arrest.
Okay.
What is that?
Yeah.
Don't leave your house. I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
He didn't leave his house
Yeah.
48 hours or something. I don't know what they were doing. They wiped out his accounts.
I
I didn't
know
understand this whole thing, but I was just
something
like...
I've heard horror stories like this from people I know.
And everyone's like complying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like baked into our DNA.
So, I know someone who had this digital arrest bullshit happen.
Oh.
And the way, and what they said to her was the same thing that they said to my husband, which was, we have a Federal Express package for you and it's got drugs in it.
Huh.
I cannot tell you how happy I am that I've stopped using drugs. Because I know for a fact that right now I'm sober, so send me whatever, call me, I'm never going to believe you. But there was a time when I used drugs.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, if anyone had called me and said, you're under digital arrest, there's a Federal Express package with drugs in it, I'd have thought it was true. Because I might have been high when I got the call. But even if I hadn't been high, I'd have just generally been paranoid from my over...
one second.
9 dealers' numbers in my phone. Like, I'd have been freaking out,
When we were both doing drugs,
yes.
There's no Federal Express coming up with any drug package. We were like...
I know that.
I don't know where we were looking for drugs.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to like, oh my God, I don't even want to get into that part of it. But I'm just saying, I know that. But I think there's something about being a druggie where you're paranoid even when you're sober and you can believe that shit. And you're like, oh my God, they've got something on me.
Yeah.
And then you just get sucked into this whole awful thing. And my husband's not a druggie. So he's like, oh yeah, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
And he put the phone down. And he was like, if it's real, they will get back to me.
Yeah.
No news.
Yeah.
Because they know too.
Yeah.
These guys are experts, right? They call you, and if they can keep you on the phone for more than a
They've
minute,
got you.
they've got you.
Yeah.
They know that you're vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're like, who are you?
Yeah.
They'll hang up immediately. If you show any aggression, they're gone.
It's also this thing of like, it's like my father gets caught on these calls.
Yeah.
And it's also this need to talk to
Chit chat.
Yeah.
My mom.
What?
Dude, so you know my mom watches the show, by the way. I call it a show now. It's like my podcast. So she was trying to place kittens, okay? There were like these stray kittens, and so she was busy doing her Christian service of trying to find them adoptive homes. And so this young woman called about the cat, and so when you're placing animals, as you know, you do a whole interview with these idiots, right? Because you don't know who you're getting.
Yeah.
So she did the whole interview and everything, and then she hung up. And after a while, I knew not to attack her immediately, but I went to her a couple of hours later and I was like, listen, when you do these calls, like, don't tell them anything about your living situation. Like, there's no need for them to know that you're an elderly couple who, you know, take naps in the afternoon, and hence you need them to come only
TMI.
at, like, why are you? They don't need to know this. You don't know who's calling you. My number's out there in the world, and like, no, you don't need to do that. Like, cut to the chase. And tell them to pop in to have a look at the cat. And tell them the time and they'll show up. Like, there's no need to be, I'm so sorry I can't have you this time because we're very old and feeble. And if you're a thief, you could just like, this is the time to come and be napping.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? Oh my God, yeah. I'm bad. I don't even post pictures of me going on holiday till I'm back. No, there's nothing to take from. I live in a gated community, which you would hate.
I think you're borderline para.
I am para. Yeah. I am para. I don't want anything bad to happen to me.
You're like not giving a rate out.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about fictional crime, which I feel is on the downslide after true crime has become like everyone. I watched so much true crime ever since your show came out, I think, because like I was like, oh, I kind of like this. It's so interesting.
But I think that's also when the genre was kind of like...
Yes, it was. You were at the cusp.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like dipping. Maybe?
Is it dipping?
I feel like there's so much and then you don't know what's
it's not dipping. There's so much.
Yeah.
The con moms and the con dads and
it's endless, huh?
It's endless.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of stuff. I sat and watched that whole documentary about that girl who went with her boyfriend on like van life. Gary Petito or whatever. Gabby Petito.
That's also crazy, right?
Crazy.
Like the story. Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have kids, by the way. I wouldn't let them out of my sight. I would be that mom who's be like, you're not going anywhere. I don't care who your friends are. I'm coming with you.
Helicopter.
Yeah, you don't need to go with your friends. I'll take you for a holiday. And I'll keep you fucking safe. Boyfriend, no boyfriends, no
by sitting on
girlfriends,
you.
no
I'll be
nothing.
sitting
Yeah,
on
exactly. There's no need. I completely understand why our parents were like so strict about everything. Then of course my parents went from one extreme to not caring. I mean, like literally not caring at all.
We had no rules.
Yeah.
Like growing up, we were like.
I mean, I didn't have very strict parents compared to some of my friends, but I'm just saying, like, whatever strictness I saw around me, I'd have been worse than all of that. I can barely let my dog out of my sight. Like, oh my God.
But animals, yeah. Like,
yeah. They're different. They're helpless.
Yeah.
18-year-olds who
they need us.
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah,
exactly. So fictional crime.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of fictional crime?
Yeah, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously we're both fans of White Lotus. I know this because I know you personally. But I'm obsessed with it to the point where I didn't even understand people who didn't like the season. Season 3. White Lotus, I mean...
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And like, the first season was amazing and the second season's the best season and this third season was so bad. I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
All were amazing.
No, it was great.
It is so soothing to me.
I don't even like in my head, I don't even put it in like the crime genre. I don't know
What
why.
is it for you? Is it like
I'm like so
dark comedy drama?
Yeah,
something
kind of
like
like
that? It is, yeah.
And I kind of like feel like I'm so into the vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
it is a
I'm
vibe.
so into the vibe that sometimes I miss the dialogue and the plot. I'm just like, I feel like I'm stoned when I'm watching it.
I feel like Mike White has figured out how to wrap me in a blanket and hold me in his godi and sort of lull me to bed.
And then you're like, what?
It has... I've been thinking about why I love White Lotus so much.
Tell me.
It is because it is about super rich people. Okay? They're not just rich, they're like extremely wealthy. So it's wealthy people who can do all kinds of crap, okay? And face no financial anxiety.
Oh, is that why you do?
I just feel like they do not pay for consequences the same way we do. And I like to watch people, I just like to watch that because it doesn't bother, like it doesn't give me anxiety. I'm not like worrying about them. Someone's going to die, sure. And we're going to know who did it as well because that's the format of the show. So I'm not worried about that part. Yeah. But while we are looking, but that's why I liked Agatha Christie so much. It wasn't about poor people struggling.
No.
It was about rich motherfuckers on holiday.
There's no consequence.
There's no consequence. Everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, someone dies and we'll find out who, but it's like an Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
Someone dies pretty quickly in the beginning, and then the whole thing is about...
But I feel like I'm not even watching that show to find out who did what.
I don't
to be
care about
yeah,
it.
I don't like,
That's the beauty of it.
yeah, it's just
that
kind
is
of
the
like,
beauty of it.
It's got me so
I mean, I'll find out about it.
Yeah.
That's a by the way.
Yeah.
But I just love watching all these people interact
Yeah.
with each other, and I'm just the suspense to me comes from what are these idiots going to do next?
I think it's
you
also
know?
I think what he has that is that line between like cringe and unwatchable. And you kind of like you kind of float between that like
See, also these are not my people. I'm not watching myself
Yeah,
up there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm watching these super. The other thing that he does very cleverly is he's punching up, right?
yeah.
He's looking at the most privileged group of people
Yeah.
and then basically taking the piss
Yeah.
in a subtle way.
Yeah, not at all in a blatant way.
Not a blatant
Yeah,
way, in
yeah.
a subtle way.
Yeah.
And because he's not really taking the piss out of the people who work at those places. In fact,
No.
he's completely on their
Yeah,
side, and he's showing how these idiots mistreat people
Yeah.
without thinking about
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
they're all just they're so privileged and entitled and everything.
Yeah.
So I love watching all of that. And I was just thinking that, of course, the first 2 seasons especially, the rich people doing shit and getting away with it and not facing any financial consequences. In this 3rd season, the Ratliff family is going to face the consequences of their shitty actions of whatever the father's been up to all these years,
Yeah.
now going to visit the whole family and they're going to lose all their money.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, oh my God, I don't care who got murdered. As far as I'm concerned, the worst outcome is for the Ratliff family
Yeah.
because they're going to, imagine being a rich person and having an amazing 8-star luxury holiday
Yeah.
and then going back home and finding all your money is gone.
But I want to see the spin-off.
I want to see this
I
spin-off.
really want to see them.
They will be. They'll come back. Someone's coming back from that family. They have to because they
really
were the
need
best.
to see what's happened because I feel like they went through a real catharsis, all of them. No?
Yeah,
Like, they've,
and now they're going to, and they're going back
one
to
has
like,
come back from
oh
the
my
dead.
God.
One is like
But very few storylines, if I'm right, have like an ending where I want to see what now happens to the entire family. Like I feel for this time,
guys.
these guys
Yeah.
were them. Like
Yeah.
what's going to happen to them next?
you almost want to be on their next holiday.
I do.
And you'll be like, what is happening here?
Maybe Patrick Schwarzenegger will have to go get a job, like a real job, not just working for his dad.
Maybe he's working at the resort.
The next resort or something. I don't know, whatever. They just need to keep making White Lotus forever.
yeah.
I'll just keep watching it.
Yeah, same.
I'll just
same,
keep watching it.
same.
Oh my
It's
God.
so good.
There is a restaurant in Gurgaon. I think it's called Bang, like Bangkok.
Yeah.
And it has the most White Lotusy vibe that I have come across in my life.
Okay.
And they've got a really good DJ actually. So they've got a DJ playing music. They
Okay.
don't have like piped fucking music.
Right,
They have a
right.
proper DJ there in the
Right,
corner. So it's kind of like got that. It's like a hip, cool.
Clubbish.
They've tried. They're doing
They're
that,
trying,
right? They're
okay.
trying for it, and I feel like with the DJ and everything, they're getting there. But he is doing like he's cutting his track
With the soundtrack?
with a little bit of a soundtrack from the
People
White
are doing
Lotus.
that though.
People are doing that.
People are doing that.
And I
It's
was like,
so. It's
oh
just,
my God.
It's so hooky that music
Yeah,
though. People
it
are doing
is.
it.
It's very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Like you hear it and you know exactly what's happening
Yeah.
next. But yeah, I was.
You know, people did that
entranced.
with the American Beauty soundtrack as well. Way
they
back.
did?
Yeah. It used to start coming into like dance clubs and like trance music and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
I felt like this was
Has
like in a
that-
trancey kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
a way.
yeah.
What are the other fictional crime? Are we at 45? Oh, great! This is perfect. I still have a few more things though. What are the fictional crime stories that you recently?
Recently?
Or 10 years ago, I don't care when, but like what's something that leaps to mind is like, oh yeah, I enjoyed that.
So a lot of the Fincher stuff, like Mindhunter. I don't know if you've seen that series. It came out. It was on Netflix, I think.
Okay.
That was another thing that I was just like. So it's like semi-fictional. It's based on true like serial killers and stuff like that. But it's like a fictionalized version of these investigators who are doing a profile on people. The first people who did profiles or whatever. So that was quite really well done. And Fincher does a lot of like.
Did you
crime.
enjoy Silence of the Lambs and that kind of stuff?
I really did, and I watched recently.
That was way up there in the creepy sort of like that.
I watched this, you know, Denis Villeneuve, I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Yeah,
The basically who now is directed the Dune 1 and Dune 2, whatever.
Yeah.
But way back when he started like actually with crime.
Oh.
And he does this like incredible thing where if you read it on the page, the stories that
Yeah.
he did, like he did a film called On Sundays, and he did a film called Prisoners. This is like pre-2013, I want to say. And they sound fantastical. Like you're just like, who's gonna believe this nonsense? Like this is like nonsense. And then the way he makes it is you're so sucked in and you're so there
Yeah.
for it, and it's all like cyclical and multi-layered, and he does like crime really well.
Recently the creepiest movie that I watched, not a crime, it's what they're calling body horror, which was The Substance.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Demi Moore.
No, I didn't see that.
I only watched it because of Demi Moore.
Yeah,
I'd never fucking watched that
Yeah.
movie otherwise. Oh my God, it was horrible. But I feel like Silence of the Lambs may have been it may be my favorite, like,
It's Jonathan Demme, no?
Yeah.
So I did this like small filmmaking course, and they broke down Silence of the Lambs. As filmmaking, it's like one of those.
it is, because the script itself is like perfect.
Yeah, and just everything, like
everything
music,
about it.
this
I read the
design.
book.
Yeah.
I was so motivated by the movie, and I saw it
Yeah.
in college. But I read the book, and the book is so different from the movie. I mean, they've taken a sliver of that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the book, it's so psychological. I mean, the
Right.
fact that they even were able to do anything with that book, I'm amazed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to study.
Isn't
like,
that
how
yeah,
they
so
did that.
different.
Yeah.
So different. Do you prefer documentaries to fiction? Or do you not, like, agnostic?
No, I think I went through a big phase of just like only being able to watch documentaries. And there was such good documentaries
Yeah.
coming out. I think, we went through this phase also where, okay, so like I would say even just 10 years ago,
Yeah.
or 10 years ago, where would you watch documentaries? Outside the festivals,
Yeah.
they were not in the cinemas,
Yeah.
right?
Well, my husband and I, when we lived in New York,
Yeah. You'd go- yeah.
which is about that long
Yeah.
ago, Netflix was not Netflix like we know
Yeah.
it. It was you wrote
Yeah,
in for
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
CDs.
yeah.
But what we would do is every year that this is how pedestrian we were, but every year that the Oscars named the top we just write in and like
watch
put that on
those.
our list and
And
just
watch-
watch them.
yeah, same.
Because at least something had been vetted
So,
and we
so
could
we used to
watch
have
a
this great
documentary.
like festival in Delhi.
Michael Moore was like the whole thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
A festival
Fahrenheit.
in Delhi? Yeah, Fahrenheit 911 and Sicko
No,
and all of that.
so there was a festival in Delhi that was amazing, like a Asian world cinema kind of festival called Oceans. And I would go there every year and watch whatever, anything, foreign film, like documentary, anything. And then you had like this gap. But what happens when the OTTs came in and you actually had a lot of online watching,
Yeah.
in a way it allowed for the craft of documentary to get elevated.
Yeah.
People started to watch it, there was an audience, but there was
Yes.
also money.
Yeah.
And it was being made really well.
I mean, listen, most of these true crime things on
Yeah.
the streaming platforms, these are documentaries.
These are documentaries.
You're documenting it.
But they're also made in the last 5
Yes.
to 10 years.
Sure.
Prior to that, you
Yeah.
you got to see like very either poorly made documentaries, PSBT,
Yeah.
NFDC, those
Yeah.
kind of things, or like a Channel 4 BBC kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And you didn't really get to see really well cinematic like
Yeah.
filmmaking in documentary about all sorts of. Today, like you have biopics, you have like you
Yeah,
have all
everything.
sorts of things, music,
Yeah.
Searching for Sugar Man. They're
Yeah.
beautiful stories being
Yeah.
told. And I think documentary is like an amazing art form where I think I personally learn a lot. Like I think if you can apply and watch, like you put two lights and you put two people in front of each other, right? It's the best way to watch human behavior. Like I take so many interviews for film.
Yeah.
And like to watch, to make people uncomfortable or comfortable
Yeah.
or get them to string a story along
Yeah.
is also amazing craft learning for fiction.
Yeah.
Like so I feel like both sort of you can cross pollinate and
Oh,
sort of,
100%.
yeah.
Once I realized that documentaries were not what we were being shown before the movie started when we were 12 years old in the cinemas around the corner.
PSAs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a documentary.
Yeah.
This is like a proper story. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't realize that
Yeah.
it was not. And we're not preaching to you.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, documentaries were like, ugh, am I in school?
Yeah.
But now I realize that it's
Yeah.
obviously not like that at all.
Yeah.
So you sent me a whole list of stuff to watch,
Yeah.
which a few things I had watched already, and
Yeah.
I'll get to some of them. But when you watch it, like, okay, so what's your favorite kind of documentary?
No, sorry.
Subject matter.
To your earlier one,
Yes.
like I went through a phase of watching really preferring documentary and like
Okay,
only win.
yes.
But I think I'm now balancing that back to like a lot of fiction and non-fiction.
Yeah.
But I also do feel like somewhere I kind of have moved away from just films. Like very recently in our writing process, I've started getting back to film.
Into film.
But I feel like it started to become series.
Yes.
You know, it became more of that
Yeah.
continual
Yeah,
format.
yeah.
And I feel like, again, it's like reading a book. I feel like
Yes.
I want to watch film,
Yeah.
like a film that is contained and then, you know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I'd like gone away from that. But anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
No. I was just thinking when you said that, I was like, it was like when I first watched The Sopranos.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never going to watch film again. I don't think. Like, if this is what they're fucking
The Wire,
making,
back
The
in the-
Wire, Oz.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lost.
even my
Yeah.
Sex and the City or
Yeah,
6 Feet Under. We talk about all these shows all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, why are we making film? But
That was
then
like the
that
golden
was
age
its
of that
own-
kind of.
Oh,
yeah,
completely,
yeah.
completely. So, in terms of documentary films, like, what's your sort of favorite what's your favorite thing to watch being documented? Like wildlife, sports, music.
I don't think like that. I think it's like a lot of stories that are like, you know, surprising human stories. I think that's what you find as documentaries become like real, like sort of really cut through the noise or the clutter or whatever. You know, like there's one of them that I put on your list, which is something called 3 Perfect Strangers or 3 Incredible Strangers, something like that.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm gonna look for it.
And it's again, you know, like how do you come across those stories until it's like luck, you know, it's like the right moment, right time, like 3 Identical Strangers.
Oh, that's what it is.
Right.
Or 3 Identical Strangers. Yeah.
Oh, there's a story about, there's an amazing documentary about, the Searching for Sugar Man, or you look at like Finding Vivian Maier, right? How are you that person who's going to make this story? Like you just, it's a matter of like life and chance and like you happen to be able to tell that story. It's kind of like divine intervention, you know? And I feel like sometimes those kind of stories are incredible in documentary because it's that thing of like, you know, is like reality is like stranger than fiction.
I watched My Octopus Teacher. Did you watch it?
See that, right?
I mean,
like
wow.
that kind of stuff, right? Like, can I just be like, I'm going to make that film? I can't.
No. I think the thing with documentary that is obviously different now from fiction, now that you said that, is that whoever's going to make the documentary has to have a genuine connection to something in the subject matter. It's not by numbers. It can't be.
And it's kind of like you've spent your time, world, you know, somewhere in those universes that they are also like, I'm coming to you to tell you this story.
Yes.
It's emerging.
Yeah.
So I think it is a lot like that, like with documentary, and you'll see, like if you see Finding Vivian Maier, they just find like a box or suitcase, something like a whole bunch of like prints of this woman who was just an au pair or somebody who's very working class in New York. And she's this incredible documentary photographer.
Yeah.
Like her work today is going on international exhibitions across the world. Yeah. So she goes around like shooting all these people of New York.
Yeah, if I found a box of old photographs, I'd be like, what the fuck is this doing here? Throw it out. That is why I've not made a documentary film. Yeah. I should start rooting through my old shit and see if anything's there. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, I don't think that way. You know, some people are wired that way. And I'm not wired that way. For me, if I hear an interesting anecdote or a story, I immediately go to how to fictionalize it. I'm very interested in certain, like specific subject matter that is real. Yeah. But then I want to take it.
But I think this question...
Also, that's weird because I talk so much about real stuff on stage. Like as a stand-up comic, that's all we do is like I am documenting something, right? Yeah.
But I feel like I have to answer this question a lot in my life, which is like, do we go fiction or do we go non-fiction?
Yes.
So I spend a lot of time
deciding, right, on
thinking
what
about
project
this.
to do.
I really do. And I do feel like this is a really exciting question for a lot of material. And I think you need to spend time with it because not everything needs to be fictionalized.
And not everything can be a documentary.
Yeah.
Wow, that is, I'm going to be thinking of that a lot. And that's a great place to end this. Thanks, Ayesha.
Thank you.
Ayesha's my friend, you guys. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have her. Sejal kept telling me, bring your fucking friends. Like, don't you have any friends? I'm like, I have friends, Sejal. And then I was like, should I do true crime? Yeah, she's here. With my friend Ayesha, she wrote this creepy true crime story.